I am here in Beaver County, Pennsylvania, at the site of one of the most important Ohioan Native American villages, really in the entire American West in the pre-revolutionary period. This is the site of Logstown. Logstown, you can see, is distinguished by this wonderful marker here, set up by the Daughters of the American Revolution. And there really isn't much left of the site, but it is one of very critical importance. In the 1720s, 1730s, and 1740s, as the colonies of places like Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and South Carolina grew, native peoples like the Lenni Lenape from the Delaware River Valley and the Shawnee from the Carolinas and points south were forced to relocate into the West, into land that was available and land that was open. And what they did was, again, in the 1720s, 30s, and 40s, settle along the Ohio River Valley outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The Ohio River is right there beyond these trees. Logstown was one of these critically important places, and it was called that because there were log cabins built here, mostly by the French, to try and woo the native peoples to their side in the oncoming 7 Years' War or French and Indian War. There's a lot of very important people that came through Logstown. The most important, as is denoted on the marker, is Major George Washington. And I'd encourage you to purchase my book, Major Washington's Pittsburgh, to detail that whole mission. But in 1753, as a young Virginia major, George Washington was on this site. This was a critically important place for the native peoples of the Ohio River Valley, and for Washington, part of his job was to recruit them to be his allies, or allies of the colony of Virginia in the oncoming battle. I want to leave all these sounds in here for you guys, traffic and noise, let you see the homes, because these are not necessarily things that George Washington would have seen in the fall of 1753. But Washington was on this site. He met with a very important local Iroquois leader called the Half King, Tanacrisin, and together they marched northward to the French Fort Le Boeuf to confront the French commander who was on site there. But this is one of my favorite locations, and it's one of the reasons I love studying history here on the frontier, is because you don't get these amazing battlefields with historical interpretive sites all the time. Sometimes you get what you can, and this is a really great site because you have a few markers. We saw the DAR marker there. What you have in front of me here is the Pennsylvania History and Museum Commission marker for Logstown. Now, the fact that both of these groups tried to mark and denote this place as meaningful, as important, should tell you that it actually was very critical. We actually have two more markers here on the site, which we'll take a look at. And here's one from a video we did recently on General Anthony Wayne's Legionville, the first basic training ground of the United States. Again, this is put in place by the Daughters of the American Revolution in 1916. I want you to, if you could, revisit that video to learn a little more about Legionville, America's, again, first basic training ground for the United States Army. We've got one more marker here. Okay, let's see what we have. Put in place by the Pennsylvania History and Museum Commission in 1916. On this plateau, southwest of the spot, was the camp of the Army of General Anthony Wayne. Again, we talked about Legionville already. So we've got the PHMC, the Daughters of the American Revolution, the PHMC again, and the Daughters of the American Revolution for a second time, trying to denote the importance of this spot. And they're really doing everything they can. I think for us as modern people, we have to get accustomed to not necessarily complaining that there isn't a lot of history left, but kind of taking what we can get at this point, because as you can see, the modern world is upon us. So this is the site of Logstown, the back end of the Legionville site, America's first basic training ground. It's a very special place historically, and I encourage you to check it out. All right, everybody, see you next time.